The first 30 days as a manager is where most people lose their team without even realizing it. But it's not because they're bad at the job. It's because they're focused on the wrong things. So in this video, we're breaking down the 5 biggest mistakes new managers make in their first 30 days and exactly what to do instead. Because most of them don't look like mistakes at first. And that's exactly what makes them so dangerous. If you're brand new or early to managing people, this is for you. The first instinct for most new managers is to act fast, to prove they deserve the role and show up with energy, ideas, and changes. But that same instinct is one of the most common mistakes I see. And the solution, the thing that actually works, starts here. Observe before you act. Imagine you moved into a new furnished house. You don't rearrange the furniture on day one. You live in it for a while. You get the lay of the land before you make it yours. Your team is the exact same way. In your first 30 days, your most important job is to understand before you act. Sit in on meetings, not to lead them, but to watch. Notice who talks and who goes quiet, and notice where the energy is and isn't. And then ask your team 2 questions. What's working and what isn't? Then actually listen. Don't fix or promise anything yet. Just take it all in. Now be ready with pen and paper because they will tell you things, and sometimes more than what you asked for. Now here's why this matters so much. New managers are tempted to come in and make their mark fast, change the meeting structure, or introduce a new system. And sometimes that instinct is right, eventually. But if you move before you understand why things are the way they are, you risk blowing up something that was actually working. Or worse, you make a change your team already tried and knows doesn't work. And now you look like you didn't do your homework. And one more thing, if you're stepping into a team with a manager before you, be very careful about inheriting their reputation. Good or bad, your team has a story about the last person in your seat, and your job isn't to defend them, trash them, or try to be the opposite of them. Your job is just to show up consistently and let that speak for itself over time. And by the end of the 30 days, you should be able to describe where the friction is, how your team operates, and what they do really well. If you can do that, then you're already ahead. Okay, so now you know what to watch for inside your team. But there's one conversation most new managers either delay or completely avoid in those first 30 days. And without it, you're making every decision in the dark. Meet with your boss in week 1. This one might sound obvious, but I cannot tell you how many new managers skip it, or do a version of it that's too casual or vague or doesn't actually get them what they need. So here's what I mean. In your first week, you need to sit down with your boss and ask them one specific question. How do you define success for me at 30, 60, and 90 days? Go ahead and write it down and get specific. Because if you don't know what your manager is measuring you on, you're basically navigating without a map. And if you don't, you might end up working on the wrong things and not find out until 3 months later. And go ahead and ask even if it feels like you should already know. You just got here, and trust me, asking is not a sign of weakness. It's probably one of the smartest things you can do in week 1. And while you're in that conversation, ask your boss this: what does this team need most from a leader right now? That answer will tell you more about your first 90 days than anything else. And here's why this works. Getting aligned with your boss early does 2 things. 1, it gives you a clear target. And 2, it signals to your manager that you're intentional. You're not just winging it, and you're thinking about the role strategically. So don't wait until you feel settled to have this conversation. Have it first, and then get settled. Before we move on to the next reason, if this is resonating with you, click like and subscribe. We talk about the real side about being a leader here, and you don't have to do this on your own. And it really helps the channel grow and get in front of others who are going through the same thing. I really appreciate your support. So you're observing your team and you're aligned with your boss on what success looks like. But here's the thing, none of that matters if you're building relationships on the wrong foundation, and most new managers are. Set expectations and don't chase approval. You don't build trust by being nice. You build it by being consistent. And I know your gut is probably saying, be warm and available and make people like you. But look, being warm and available is good, but if that's your whole strategy, your team is going to walk away from your first month with no idea what you actually expect from them. Unclear expectations create anxiety, they leave people guessing, and the wrong things end up being prioritized. And eventually, it creates problems you're going to have to clean up. So here's what to do instead. Have a one-on-one with every single person on your team in the first 2 weeks. In that conversation, ask them what they're working on, what they need from you, and what's getting in their way. And here's the thing, listen before you talk, and then be very clear with them. Tell them what they can expect from you. how you communicate, how you make decisions, and what matters to you. That clarity is what trust is actually made of. You can definitely be the manager people like and who holds the line. Those aren't opposites, but you have to earn the likability through consistency. It's not the other way around. Now here's where things get a little uncomfortable, because even with all that in place, there are 3 very specific behaviors that will undercut everything you just built. And they're so easy to fall into because they genuinely feel like good leadership in the moment. Stop overhelping, overlistening, and avoiding hard conversations. New managers fall into one of 3 traps, or sometimes all 3. Trap 1 is overhelping. You want to be supportive, so you jump in and solve every problem your team brings to you, but then you end up becoming the human answering machine. It feels great at first, until your team stops thinking for themselves because they know you'll just handle it. If you fall into this trap, you haven't built a team. You've built dependency. Trap 2 is over-listening. You have your one-on-ones, you ask great questions, you nod, and you say, "Yeah, I hear you." And then nothing happens. You're collecting feedback with no visible follow-through, and your team starts to wonder if they're just venting into the void. Trap 3 is avoiding hard conversations. Now, I see this one all the time. Someone is showing up late or missing deadlines, or there's tension between 2 people that everyone can feel. And you tell yourself, "I'll address it when I know them better." Now fast forward and it's week 6, and you have accidentally communicated without saying a single word that this behavior is acceptable. Here's the thread connecting all 3 traps. They're all attempts to be liked, and I understand the impulse completely. But your team doesn't need you to be their favorite person. They need you to be clear, follow through, and handle the hard stuff when it comes up. That's what they'll actually remember about you 6 months from now. All right, everything we've covered so far applies to any new manager, but this last one is specifically for those of you who didn't just become a manager, you became a manager of the people you used to work alongside. And nobody really prepares you for what that actually feels like. Your relationship with your former peers will change, and that's okay. So you used to be one of them. You vented together, grabbed lunch, and maybe complained about management. And now you are management. It's awkward, and pretending it isn't makes it more awkward. Some of those relationships are going to shift, but it's not because you changed as a person. It's because the dynamic did. And trying to hold on to the old version by acting like nothing is different will cost you credibility with the whole team. You can still be kind and care, but you can't be their peer and their manager at the same time. Here's the through line across all 5 of these. Every single mistake ultimately comes from the same place. You're trying to prove yourself before you've taken the time to understand where you're actually at. And every solution comes from the same place too. Slowing down, getting clear, and leading with honesty instead of approval. That's the job, especially in month 1. Now, once you get through those first 30 days, the real work begins. And there's a whole set of new challenges waiting for you on the other side that most managers aren't ready for. I actually made this video here that breaks that down in more detail. And if you want more real talk about leadership, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.